Andrew.
Guys, I got a question for both of you guys. Um, how do both of you feel about AEW being compared to ECW?
Go ahead, CW. I'll let you
Yeah.
answer that one.
Yeah. I don't know who's comparing that, but yeah, you can't compare that. That's
No.
nah. Yeah,
No.
AEW is its own entity, just like ECW. There will never be another ECW. Don't compare it because it's nothing. It's not knocking them, but they're completely different. Their style, everything's completely different than what we did. Um, Let AEW be its own brand and its
Mm,
own startup, but there's no comparison
I
between the
feel,
two.
I feel you.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. When I was in ECW, like I tell everyone who interviews me, I didn't really know anything about ECW until CW and Chris and Steve Carino got me into it. And from what I see with the AEW style, I mean, the AEW style is more. And I'm not taking away anything from these guys. These guys can work. You know, you got some good workers there. But I think the way it is going, just like everything else, it's just really fast. More like a. They try to be like the lucha libre, but I don't know. It doesn't. To me, some of the matches don't have the psychology in which.
There is no psychology to
Yeah,
them. To
yeah,
some of them.
yeah. It's hard to follow. So I mean, but if you were Spot Monkey, you want to go here, there, that's cool. That each his
Yeah.
own, And I think that times are changing, and I don't know. I don't know. You got to go with the times, I guess. But yeah, it's just totally different for me. Definitely.
Completely. Yeah, like I say, every wrestling promotion, every style of wrestling has its own little niche fan group.
Right.
Yeah, the Japanese style, the AEW style, which has a little bit of Japanese style to it, but not much.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a lot of the flipping and no selling and no psychology to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a different style of wrestling than what I was taught and the way I taught Willie with that stuff. But there's a place for everything in this business, but you just can't. The entire show can't be that. Just like the entire
Right.
show can't be old school wrestling, the entire show can't be hardcore wrestling. You got to give the fans a taste a little bit of everything. It all can't be the same thing because then it becomes stale and boring.
Right. Exactly. And you can't kick out of everything. If CW does the
Mm,
spine buster, he's the main event, right? He's the main event. Well, why would you do it in the first match or second match, and then the guy kicks out? That just killed everything. That just killed his whole shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So a lot of that stuff, these guys are kicking out, and it's like they want a WrestleMania moment in every single match. And
yeah.
I'm not saying you shouldn't work the hard. Yeah, you work your heart out, and work hard as you can. But you, like you said, the psychology of it is you can't do every move in every single match, and then when it's time for the main event, you have nothing left. I mean, there's what do I do? Shoot someone, and then they wake up. I mean, they wake up and
yeah. Every match has a place on the card as far as the spot for the show. You
Mm,
can't do main event moves in your first or second or third match. You have to know
right,
your place on the show, and a lot of people, and that's the problem because a lot weren't properly taught that way. And I run into so many steals today that when you're on the show, you don't know. Hey, I'm first match. I got to go out there and hit everything. No, you don't. They want to do
mm,
dives through the ropes. They want to do shove off the top rope. It's not how this show works because you build your match. Excuse me. You build your show like you do a match. It starts slow and it builds up to the main event, which is the go home, the icing on the cake, or the finish. It's all built the same way, and guys don't
right,
understand that, and that's a problem that's really lacking in our business now.
yeah,
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
exactly.
CW, who were you trained by and how did you get started in pro wrestling?
Nobody trained me. I ran into a buddy at McDonald's one day after my baseball career kind of went to the wayside, and he was doing independent wrestling. And I got with him and got to a show early on that Saturday, and got in the ring, kind of rolled around, and caught that bug, as we say, and just went to a yeah, just went to a school that was a school here in Smithfield, North Carolina, where I live, and was there with those guys, and they were showing me things, and it was things I was watching on TV, and that's just kind of where it took off. And I never formally got trained until I got to the power plant in '98. And then once I got there, Sergeant Buddy Lee Parker, Pez Watley, and Mike Winter kind of took me under their wing and took everything I knew and thought I knew and fine-tuned it to what basically got me my job at ECW. So, you know, I was lucky enough that I got around some legends in the beginning, like Wahoo McDaniel, Jimmy Boogie Woogie Man Valiant, Ivan Koloff, guys like that, that I could sit there and talk to them. And I got around the right independent wrestlers that would show me things and tell me, hey, you don't want to learn moves to an extent. Let's learn psychology. Talk to Uncle Ivan or talk to Jimmy Valiant or Wahoo and ask them to teach you psychology. Because once you learn psychology and know how to put it in the match, wrestling becomes a lot easier then.
Sure, got you.
Nice.
Now, why did WCW never give you an opportunity?
J.J. Dillon and Paul Orndorff, who were two of the agents, came to the power plant one day, and Will can tell you this because he was there. He was around the time too. They had no idea what was going on at the power plant. They have no idea what kind of talent they had. And they put us all together one day when they came down and let us have matches. And I was wrestling one of our close friends, Toad. His name's Curtis White. And we basically had the best match there to a point where we were popping the boys. Brad Armstrong, when we got done, he's like, man, that's some straight ECW style match there. And J.J. Dillon and Paul Orndorff came up to me and said the match was okay, but it wasn't that kind of style, that I didn't really have a good look. And they didn't think I could make it at WCW because they were more of a marketing company. And, you know, that's back when I was like 250 and I wasn't in the best shape. I could still wrestle my ass off, but I didn't look, you know, the part. I had a stomach and, you know, my face was a lot fatter and stuff. So I didn't look at the part. And it just took Paul Heyman seeing the wrestler and not the look to make something of it.
That's awesome because, you know, I went down to the power plant because I was living in Myrtle Beach in '96, and then when they started doing a tryout, I moved to Atlanta with my friends Walt Cusick and Kim. Actually, Walt, the guy who does your music. When I tried out, I didn't stay long because I only stayed, I think, that week when I tried out because I didn't have the money. And luckily, I passed. And then I came back to North Carolina, and then that's when I hooked up with you and Dan Wright. So my question is, when you went to the power plant, how long did you stay down there? And then how much was it? How much did you pay?
I paid it. You had to pay $1,000 to get back.
How long did you stay there?
You had to pay $1,000 to get back in the door. My tryout was in February of '98. I came back like the next month, paid the $1,000, even though it was a $3,000 fee. I paid that $1,000 to get in the door, and I was there until June of '99 when the thing at ECW happened. So I was there a little over a year. And man, you know, I try to explain to people how hard that effing tryout was and how just brutally taxing it was on your body. Ooh. My God, man. I don't know how
they would never know.
I don't know how I made it through. I mean, actually, I do. Toad being there that day, because there was a couple times I was going to quit and say the hell with it, but he wouldn't let me.
Yes.
But once I got there and got under Sarge, and it was really poorly ran. It was just kind of come in and do what you want to. And Sarge was doing the best he can. And Pez Watley and Mike Winter the same way. It wasn't like formally ran. You know, there was no structure to it because Jody Hamilton was in the office, but he never did anything. It was just kind of a frustrating pace.
That's what I talked to.
Yeah, because you and I went a couple of times together, and it was just get in the ring. If you want to work out, fine. Right. If you don't have to.
Yeah.
There was no classes or nothing. And you know, a lot of times we'd bring Sarge our videos from the weekend before, and he'd sit down and critique it, and then we'd work on stuff. And that was pretty much it.
Right. Exactly.
Now, CW, where did the Anderson last name come from?
My very first show, December 4th of 1994, 93, 94. I'm losing count now. I think it's 93, 94, whatever. It was a long damn time ago. My very first show, they had me under this hood just to kind of get my feet wet, and I was called.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I remember seeing that.
I did that, and there was two guys there, Rocky Mills and Pat Connors. Rocky Anderson, they were running the Anderson gimmick. they saw me wrestle, and Rocky was about my age now at the time. He was about 50, and he was getting ready to call it quits. And Pat was in his 30s, and he wanted somebody young to tag with. So they saw me, saw the look. I had a goatee at the time, and they wanted to know if I wanted to be an Anderson. And I didn't know what I was going to do. So I was like, yeah, absolutely. So Pat, they sat me down, talked to me. Pat said, come up with a 3-letter name. Because he was Pat. You had Ole and Orange. So I was going to try to come up with something along those lines. So the whole 2 weeks, I was come up with Ike and Cal. And man, I couldn't come up with shit. And I remember, could you imagine me calling Cal Anderson now? Holy hell.
No,
so
Ike Anderson, that would have been funny too. Ike Anderson.
So I'm sitting down one day with Mr. Randy Driver, and Chili knows him, Randy Rich. And because I've known Mr. Randy my entire life, and I said, Mr. Randy, I can't come up with anything. I said, I can't come up with anything, for Anderson. He said, we'll just use your initials and call you CW. And it just kind of stuck from there.
Wow.
That's
Okay.
awesome. That would have been hilarious. Let me ask a question real quick. Do you still go? Do you still have the urge sometimes to do the hood? What was that? Nico? I remember.
Oh, Nico. Nico was my other. Yeah, I haven't done a hood in forever. I know Carino and I talked about doing a hood not too long ago, just to mess around, but man, I hadn't done that hood stuff in forever. And I remember when I did it, I was like, I don't know what the hell I was thinking, because I can't breathe in that mask, man. It was ridiculous. I remember I sewed this blonde wig on top of it and wore the Sabu pants because I was a Sabu mark.
Yeah, I remember that. Didn't you have a cane with you? Didn't you have a kendo stick with you?
I had a kendo stick made out of little jip bamboo that I would split. Such an ECW mark.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
Now, CW, why did WWE change your name from CW Anderson to Christopher W. Anderson?
When WWE brought back that Disney-fied ECW that they tried to run, which failed horribly because it sucked so bad, I'm standing with Paul Heyman one night backstage, and he tells me, he says they want to start pushing. Paul says, I want to start pushing you. I was like, all right. He said, but Vince wants to change your name. I said, why? He said, well, you're CW and then there's CM Punk. They would kind of get you guys confused a little bit because of the initials. I said, well, yeah, I can see that. Punk has hair. I'm bald. Punk slim, got tattoos, is in shape. I'm, kind of heavy set, and I wear a singlet. I have a beard. Punk doesn't. But yeah, I can see exactly where he thinks people will get me confused with him. Yeah, that's great. He goes, well, it's not so much that, you being CW and there's the CW network and people might think you're working for the CW network. I said, Paul, you can shit me. Vince really thinks that? I said, you do know there's a good chance they got that from me, right? I said, because the very first TV, I said, okay, so I had a buddy, Mike Keener, referee Mike Keener. He worked at TV Guide. The very first promotional thing they did for the CW network, they had 2 A-list actors, and I don't remember them. And one of the actors was doing this, and the other actor was doing that to promote the CW network.
Really?
Yep.
Get out of here.
Nope. I'm 100% not shitting you. He said one was doing my Cowboys and Westerns or some shit like that. And the other guy goes, it's for the ECW wrestler, CW Anderson.
Oh, snap. Damn.
So that's what I was like, yeah. I said, I was CW way before there was ever a CW network. And he could never justify why Vince would want it. I said, you know what, Vince? Paul, I said, I don't give a shit. I said, I don't want to be here. I hate it here. I said, let him call me whatever he wants to. As long as I get to keep this, that's all I care about. Right. And that's when they come up with that stupid Christopher W. Anderson thing.
Damn.
Wow. What's the most memorable thing that happened in WWE besides the name change with you?
One night I'm working Shannon Moore at the Hammerstein Ballroom. I hadn't been back to the Hammerstein Ballroom since my I Quit match. So I'm supposed to be a heel. Shannon Moore is supposed to be a babyface. Well, when I walk through the curtain, the place goes ballistic because you have an ECW original walking in the Hammerstein ballroom. When Shannon Moore comes out, he starts getting booed. We go through the beginning of our match, and there's the wrestling psychology. The babyface is always over on the heel. Well, when it come time for us to switch, Vince was on the headset backstage and was telling the referee, Shannon's a heel, make CW a babyface. So Shannon went to getting his opening to beating my ass in the heat. I didn't get in. I remember Shannon coming out and telling me that. And then in the go home, they switched it back and forth. Shannon, you're a babyface. CW, now you're a babyface. They were switching it back and forth as we're going home. And on one of the final moves, I was supposed to power slam him. And as I'm shooting him off, the ref says, Vince says, Spinebuster, finish it now. So I catch Shannon in midair awkwardly, spin him into some kind of modified Spinebuster. 1, 2, Shannon kicks out, and the ref counts 3, ring the bell.
Wow.
The crowd is just sitting there like, what the fuck just happened? I'm in the middle of the ring. I remember like was punching the ring or something because I was so furious.
Wow.
Go ahead, Tito. I'm sorry.
No.
Well, I wanted to touch on what you just said. You were saying they were switching it back and forth. A lot of people don't understand that. You call your match in the back, but when you go up top, the referees have a headset. They have an earpiece, and they're getting their commands from someone in the gorilla position.
Yep.
So at any time, your whole shit could change just like that. Everything that you thought of in the back, you guys working on, and then all of a sudden the referee can say, okay, do this, and you got to be able to adjust just that quick. How hard was that?
It was very hard because it screwed our entire matchup, and it was one of us couldn't be a heel, one of us couldn't be a face because we constantly kept switching back and forth, which was confusing the shit out of the crowd. They're on the mic, they're on that headset for other reasons, make sure you turn towards a hard camera, make sure you're constantly selling your arm. But as you're going off doing things, you have the referee telling you, okay, now do this, and doing it on the fly, especially with Shannon's in midair, and as he's coming off, the ref's telling me, Spinebuster, go home now. The night I worked CM Punk, I get in the ring, Punk and I get ready to lock up, and the ref says, they've cut you down to 6 minutes. We had like 8 or 9 or something like that. And as Punk and I are doing stuff, he said, let's get some of your stuff in. I was like, no. I said, because I knew Punk was going to be the next big thing because he was Paul's boy at the time. So let's get all your shit in. So I remember I spine-busted him. I covered 1, 2. He kicked out. The ref says, you got 2 minutes. Go home now. I immediately snatched him up right out of my spine-buster to go home right then because we had to go home right then.
Wow.
It's, if we never had that at ECW, they trusted us enough to, hey, you got 10 or 12 minutes. We would go 10 or 12 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And we knew exactly we didn't have that shit in our headset. It makes it more, what we did at ECW means more because if you got somebody in the back telling you what to do, like at WWE, you're not allowed just to cut a promo. You have to read that shit off a script and you have to practice it beforehand.
Right.
At ECW, Paul would tell me or tell whoever, he did some of the stuff with Chili Willie as well.
Right.
Chili, I want you to dance. I want you to say this. I want you to do that. Yes. And they'd send Chili off to do his promo. And it'd be done and edited. Ron and Charlie, who were our cameramen, Paul trusted them enough to make sure it was done. Ron and Charlie helped me a lot to talk in front of the camera and stuff like that. So, and you felt it more instead of reading it off a script because when you read off a script, you have no emotion. You can't make it your own.
That is true. I remember that in training when I was down at OVW, man. They wanted me to do this like GI Bro thing, and they were like, read this and this is the script, and I was like, what? I was like, this don't feel right, Yeah, I couldn't get into it. I could not get into that gimmick at all. For some reason, and when they told me I was done, man, I was happy to go home. You know what I mean? But I could not do what they wanted me to do. They wanted me to do some type of GI Bro gimmick, and I was like, oh man, this is, I just can't do it. And it's hard. It's hard to really read that shit, word for word. And you really got to be good to ad-lib some things, you know, and then I don't know how much leeway they would give you unless you're a superstar like The Rock or something like that. You can do your own thing, but you know, if you're just coming up in the world, man, you got to read that shit like the writers want
they
you
don't
to
trust
read.
you at all.
Yeah. Yo, no, you better read that shit. The cat in the hat came back.
That's why the promos are there saying they suck, because you can't put yourself into it. It's what somebody else thinks you're supposed to be saying. It has an idea. The ones that are writing up there have an idea about the wrestling part of it. None. So they couldn't come to me or Chili and say, hey, we got this promo written for you, because they don't know C.W. Anderson, they don't know Chili Willie. Here's an idea. Give me the key points you want me to hit on, and let me do the rest.
Yeah,
I've been doing it long enough. I can make this shit happen.
That's right. Exactly.
Now, CW, did you ever have a tryout match for ECW?
It was I got in the ring and worked out. When I got there the day that my buddy Toad had to try out, he worked out with Angel, who ended up being Angel from the Baldies. And I just was there to hang out, because Toad and I had a match with the Public Enemy the night before in South Carolina, and this was down in Georgia. So I'm outside talking to Steve Carino and Simon Diamond, because Steve and I were really close, and I knew Simon quite well. And when Toad got through with his tryout, Nova leans to the ropes and looks at me and goes, Chris, you got your gear? I'm like, well, yeah, it's in the car. He said, well, run to get it, man. Let's see what you can do. I run to get my gear. I get back in the ring, and he put Simon in there with me. And Simon and I do a little 5-minute match. And when I get done, Simon's like, man, he said, you got some amazing timing. He said, that's really good. So I was like, appreciate it. I get out, and I hear somebody yell to Fonzie, get the ball guy back in the ring. When I look over, Paul Heyman, the Dudleys, and Taz are sitting out there watching. So Fonzie looks at me and goes, Daddy, he wants you back in the ring. So I get back in the ring for like the next hour and a half, and he's throwing different guys at me, and I'm working out with them. When it gets done, the doors are getting ready to open. I go in the bathroom. Everybody's getting dressed. I'm in the bathroom, like spitting up blood and cleaning up, because I was bumping my ass off. I was hitting the buckle as hard as I could.
Wow.
And, I walked in about the time the bathroom door opens, and it's Paul Heyman. He walks right up to me, sticks his hand out, and goes, hey, I'm Paul Heyman. It's nice to meet you. I said, hey, Paul, my name's Chris Wright. It's a pleasure. He said, where are you wrestling at, Chris? I said, I'm at the WCW power plant. He said, are you on contract there? And I was like, no, sir. I said, they basically told me I didn't have what it takes. He goes, what's your wrestling name? I said, C.W. Anderson. And in classic Paul fashion, he goes, I knew it. He says, you look like Arn. He says, you have the left punch like Arn, the spine buster. He goes, don't leave before the end of the night before I speak to you. I said, yes, sir. And he let me hang out backstage. And maybe 5 minutes later, Jim Molyneux comes up to me and goes, CW? I said, yeah, I'm CW. He goes, Paul wants to see you in the back. So I walk in the dressing room, and he's sitting back there with Vito LaGrassa, Skull Von Crush at the time, Danny Dorn, and Roadkill. Introduces me to him, says, you're tagging with Vito. Your third match, welcome to ECW.
Wow.
That's how I got my job. It was never a tryout match. I just kind of went there and worked out. And be honest with you, yeah.
I never heard that story. I just knew you went up there with Toad. I remember you and Toad going up there. Mm-hmm. And I remember Toad having the tryout. But then when you guys came back, it was like, spoiler alert. And I was like, oh, me and Laz and Stacy were like, oh.
Yeah. And here's this crazy thing, Will. I wasn't going to go. Toad drugged me down there because you remember Lisa, the school teacher I used to date? The light-skinned girl?
So. The black girl.
Yes.
Yeah.
I had just started seeing her, and I was trying to go hang out with her. And Toad drugged me down to that tryout.
Damn.
Wow.
Let me ask a question real quick on that. Now when you got signed with ECW, were you on contract or was it just money out the pocket? How was it? Because I know my black ass was only making $75 for the ring crew and $75 for the wrestling, and that's all I got was $140.
Well, my white ass only got $75. I was not on contract. I was never on contract there.
The whole time?
Never. Nope. The whole time. I was making $75 a night, and this is when they were doing 4 nights a week. I was traveling by myself. This is before the Dubs got there. So I was traveling by myself. I was making $75 a night. some nights I didn't work, so I didn't get paid. There was a few of the loops I only worked one night out of the 4, so I only got paid $75 traveling everywhere. I was either sleeping in my car, sleeping in the damn. I was sleeping on the floor. Jeff Jones would let me sleep on the floor, and then that idiot would charge me part of the room for letting me sleep on the floor. I had to use my own clothes as a pillow, and he was still charging me.
Oh my God!
So we were in Boston, Mass one night. This is the Dups were there, so me and Murray and Mike and Marty were driving, and we were in Marty's car. His car broke down, and you know how the Dups were together. When they got together, it was always fighting. It was always something. And I'd had my bait of traveling with them. I broke down in front of Paul and Tommy and said, I got to have more. I got to have more than $75 a night. I can't hang out here anymore, basically. So Paul gave me $200 a night. Then that's all I made the rest of ECW. Then we dropped to 2 nights a week, so I was only making $400. And then after my I Quit match, the Guilty as Charged, I was going to get my contract, and I was getting a TV belt at Living Dangerously, which was the next pay-per-view. But that was it. Went from $75 a night to $200 a night. I was working our champion Jerry Lynn or our champion Carino or Rob Van Dam or Dreamer every freaking night while they were making 1,000 plus, and I was making $200 a night.
Wow.
Wow, I didn't know that, man. I thought you were making more. I really thought you were making, because you were on the video game, right, or something like that. Didn't you have a?
Yeah, did get paid for that. We had to sign away our royalties. We had to sign away so we wouldn't get royalties.
Oh,
everybody?
Yes.
Wow.
Well, let me tell you that. I know me and Bill Wiles did, and a few other ones like Danny Dorn and those guys. I remember I was with Bill. Bill and I were the last 2 to make it on that game, and we had to sign paperwork saying we weren't going to ask for royalties.
Damn.
Wow.
Yeah, we paid our dues, man.
Now, speaking of ECW, we got Jeremy Atkins. He sent an email to us. He had a question for both you guys. He said, both of you wrestled on ECW Heatwave 2000. Can y'all talk about what happened at the end of the show when XPW wrestlers tried to hijack the show, and how bad did y'all beat up the guys in the parking lot?
I can, because Chili's modest. I'm gonna tell you about this fool. So when they tried to hijack the show and they were kicking them out, we went out in the street. They went out in the street and we followed them. I watched Chili take on 2 guys and beat the shit out of them, to where I stopped fighting and was watching because he was clocking these 2 guys. Pow, pow, pow. I felt bad for them 2 guys. Yo, that was it was a lot of fun. It was intense at the time. Yeah. Chill, who was it? Was it New Jack or Jack Victor that was on the crutch hitting them with the crutches?
I think that was New Jack. New Jack was on the crutch, I think. I want to say New Jack was on the crutch.
That's right, because it's after his fall at Living Dangerously.
Yeah, I want to say he was on the crutch, man. It was me, Tony Mama Luke out there, Red Dog, I think he was out there. Me and Balls, me and Kid Cash. You know, that's the day that I stopped on the ring crew after that. And Paul started flying me maybe 1 or 2 shows and didn't get comfortable with it.
Because you were beating the shit out of people, dude.
Yeah, and then I remember Paul came out and he was trying to get some order, and some people kind of gathered around him, and I ran over and I said, "Get the fuck out!" or some shit like that. And then I remember a black police officer coming by, and he was saying, "You got to disperse or something." And I said, "Fuck you! You got to get the guy out of here!" And Paul says, "Hey, Chili, get in here!" Because the police officer was about to arrest me. But thank God he was a brother, because if he wasn't, man, I'd probably been shot. Or...
Yeah. You would have been Rodney King 2.0.
I ain't lying for real, but because
we were in Los Angeles.
yeah, exactly. What was that? The Olympic Stadium, right?
The Olympic Stadium or something like that.
I think it was not too far from the Staples Center, but yeah.
Yeah, it was. No, we were right across from the Staples.
Right,
you could see the Staples Center. Yeah.
Right. That was epic, man. We kicked their ass there, man, and it was just.
Yeah, and they got in the limousine and left.
Yeah. The limousine was parked there with the owner there. I don't know his name, but he was there. They said, and we was just like.
What led up to the attack? Oh.
They were trying to disrupt the pay-per-view. The one they grabbed Francine. But they were doing stuff. They were like got front row or something along those lines, and they were doing stuff. They didn't do anything during I opened the show with a 6-man. It was me, Simon, and Swinger against Roadkill, Danny Roadkill, and Kid Cash. They didn't do anything during my match, but I was trying to remember what else they were doing that was disrupting the paper. I remember they grabbed Francine at one point.
Yeah. But from what I heard, also they were talking way before we went out there. I think a couple of weeks before they were making noise about don't come out here to California. That's what I heard. I don't know.
Yeah.
All I know is I got summons to go to court. It was me and some other people, but we never did. We never went to court. So, but that was an interesting day, man. That day was interesting. And then me and Mike Keener had to get right back in the ECW truck and drive all the way. No, we flew. I think everyone flew out to California that day. But me and Mike Keener had to fly back somewhere, and then we had dropped the ECW truck off in Louisiana somewhere, and we drove it all the way back, going back to Long Island. That's when I crashed the truck somewhere in Florida. I think that was the time I crashed the truck in Florida.
Jesus. They should do a shoot interview with just you ring guys.
Oh man, yeah. I miss those guys. Tom Marquette, and AC Loke and Mike Keener, man. We had some. You talk about sleeping on the floor. We were some sleeping on the floor motherfuckers, man. Especially me, because I was the last one to come in. So they were like, "Chill." I remember Tom was like, "Chill, get on the floor."
Tom Marquette.
But he had rank, you know what I mean? So I couldn't dispute. He was like, "No," because he was in charge of the ring crew, but he didn't drive the truck. It was me and Mike Keener who drove it. And so,
wow.
That was some crazy times. Man. I love ECW, man. That was awesome.
That's the thing, though, man. You look back, you just as tough as those times were. You're like, damn, I wouldn't trade that for nothing in the world.
Nah, exactly. Not in my wrestling career. I sure wouldn't at all. Even getting signed with WWE was nothing compared to ECW. Nothing.
No.
We had some moments there, some wild moments,
Yeah, we did.
Now, CW, can you talk about the Anderson Academy?
It's a little wrestling school that I had run for a long time. It was at my cousin's place over in Wilson's Mills. Before that, it was at a flower nursery. I did a little bit at a old abandoned car dealership or something. That's actually where I trained Chili at. Him and Dustin Massey Lazarus. Yeah, it was in Kinley. Right? Yeah, it was in Kinley. The tryouts were brutal because I ran them straight just like Sarge did at the power plant, where I had news stations and come do coverage because I was making guys throw up. I was making guys quit. It was very, very. I made it very hard for these guys to pass because look. Me and Chili and a few others have gone through these difficult tryouts, and the ones that have made it through, I won't let anybody else get in there without going through those tryouts as well. And I don't know, Willie can speak on me as being a trainer, but I think to the point that I'm very tough as a trainer. I actually make a lot of things, say it in layman's terms. I don't try to talk over you. I try to break it down as much as possible. And I strive for perfection in my students. And I remember when I knew that I had that I was a decent trainer, because I told Chili and Lazarus one day, I said, until you can wrestle a 10-minute match and never touch the ropes and tell me a story,
right?
I won't let them out. And I remember sitting there watching them wrestle, and they were telling the story, and they never touched the ropes. And I went, holy shit.
Yeah,
it doesn't hit.
If we touch the rope, we get chopped. That's one thing about CW. If you ask too many questions, like we talked earlier before we came on, a lot of guys, a lot of girls ask questions, too many questions now. The wrestlers now, they want to try to really pinpoint how this thing works. And some things you just got to let it flow. And if you ask too many questions, CW would be like, I told you to do this. Do it this way. You don't do it this way, he would just say, okay, lean up against the turnbuckle. Hold your head up. Position your head back. and you get a chop, man, and you get like 2 or 3 of them motherfuckers. It's like military, you know. You start to register that shit, you know what I mean? So I was like, yo, I don't want too many of these jokers, you know, because that shit hurt, you know. And so, but you know, as a trainer, man, I really learned a lot from him, you know, and when he was there for me training, and I mean, he taught me the basics. He taught me last Stacey, remember Stacey Jones. He taught us the basics, you know, and so that's something that you can carry with you forever. You know what I mean? You don't got to know all the other stuff. As long as you know the basics, man. I mean, you can get a job pretty much anywhere. You know, people will hire you, but if you don't know the basic and the psychology of it, that you're not gonna go too far. And that's what CW did. He also taught us locker room etiquette. You know what I mean? I mean, you go in the locker room, you got to know how to act. It's just not about wrestling. You got to know how to carry yourself also, you know, and be respectful and don't be no pussy, don't be no punk. But that which I wasn't. But you really got to, you know, you should be nice and be respectful, and people will respect that. You know what I mean? And I think now, I don't know about now because I'm not on the circuit that much, but when I was, a lot of young wrestlers weren't into that. You know, when you first come in, you got to go put your bags down. That's what he taught us. Put your bags down. Go shake your hand. Tell them your name. You know, then find your own little corner, and then whoever comes in next, you know, they have to do the same thing, or they should do the same thing. So just little things like that. You really that made his training that much better.
And one of the things also is when you go around the independents, a lot of places, especially in the Mid-Atlantic, and when people hear that I trained you, one, they know you know how to work,
exactly.
And you're also they know that, okay, this person knows how to carry themselves in a locker room and other places, because one, people will come back to me and tell me these things, but also my name carries weight. And if somebody says, hey, CW Anderson trained me, all right, they're going to take that person and put them in a trial match where, because, hey, CW is taught them the basics. He knows he's hard on them. Because I've trained Chili and all these guys in a very hard ring in the summer, there's no air conditioner. In the winter, there's no heat. You have to fight through the elements and learn, because if you can make it through these things, pretty much you're not going to go to any show and it's going to be any worse. The ring's not going to be any stiffer. They're going to have some kind of heat, some kind of air, something in there. And if they don't, you're used to it. You're used to training at 100 some degrees in there, or it's 30 degrees and you can see your breath. It's hard. Yeah, it's hard training.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Exactly. But I got to ask you, CW, about being ringside for Steve Corino versus Terry Funk. And was Terry Funk a big babyface in Japan?
Terry was huge. He was huge in general, whether he was a heel or a babyface. Mm-hmm. And Terry Funk's one of the people I'm still scared to death of.
Really?
He scares the shit out of me, dude. If you go back and go back to anybody that watches this, go back and watch the War Games match from MLW that we had. You see me legitimately run from him. There's one part where Sandman he's choking me with I think a shirt or something, and I'm trying to get away because I see Terry Funk coming with barbed wire wrapped up, and he punches me right in the eye with it. Then he takes a kendo stick, and he's beating my ass with the kendo stick, and I am running from him, and I can't even – you don't see me go through the second ropes gracefully. You see me fall through them just to get away from him. He takes a chair and throws it across the ring and hits my wrist, and I thought I broke my wrist when he hit it. What they didn't see is before the show started, we attacked Terry Funk. Before the show, he had the barbed wire wrapped around his hand to begin with, and while he was down, he was slinging back like this wildly, hitting me in the face, hitting Simon in the face and Steve. But yeah, Terry's when he's talking about people being a big deal in Japan, Terry was a very big deal, and even that's man. Look, I respect that man more than anything. One of the many I respect in this world is Terry Funk.
Wow, that's good.
That's great. Now, Steve Corino was with you in Japan, and he came back with you not too long ago in AML.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk about that?
Steve's one of the trainers at NXT. He's one of the producers, and he does aging, and I think with WWE during the week. But this was during this part when Steve came back to AML was a very difficult part in my life because for what was going on. Chili knew because he was down here at the time, and I was talking to him about it to the point where he's like, "Brother, you just gotta let that girl go. You just gotta let her go." There was something going on. He said, "You gotta let her go. You gotta let things go. You gotta move on." To a point where he wouldn't even talk to me no more about it. So there was a lot going on in my life. So Steve, I had a match with George South, and Steve decided he wanted to come and be a part of it. So Triple H let him come down because Triple H knows how close Steve and I are. And he knew that Steve wasn't going to be involved because, hell, I'm wrestling George South. So he was just going to come be ringside. So it was a huge surprise at AML when he came out. Nobody had the idea that he was going to be there. Wow. And so it was a big surprise for him being there. I worked George South. And, it was that match, our promoter said he cried twice in it because he said he only cried once in professional wrestling. He said that was the night Shawn Michaels super kicked Flair and pinned him. He said I cried twice in that match because of the emotion you and George were telling, the story we were telling. And with Steve being involved and the whole demons and angels angle we were running, because me running, my demons finally catching up with me, which was 100% true, and trying to get my angel back. That whole scenario that we were running with, and Steve was doing stuff in the background and videos, and I didn't know who it was supposed to be. And then he came and laid his hand on my shoulder. And when I looked up and saw it was him, it kind of broke me out of this whole demons and angels fan. It was a very emotional piece that we set up for. Steve, it was myself and Steve and Brian Hawks kind of played with it, and we bounced ideas off each other. But you can go on YouTube and search my name, CW Anderson, AML Wrestling, and the videos are special, 2-hour special, and they call it the second greatest story ever told because they replay our 4 matches and all the promos and everything that led up to it, and that was the second match. The great thing about that feud that George and I did, all those 4 matches, the only thing we knew going in was the finish. The rest George called in the ring.
Wow.
Everything was called in the ring. And tell me, Chill, man, now it's something you should go and just take time and watch if you get a chance.
I will.
Bro, we didn't do one move out of the 80s. And we had so much. When we were talking about earlier about people just doing flipping and stuff like that and how storytelling's lost.
Right.
Watch those matches, man, and look at the storytelling, the mastery of George South calling a match. And me just listening, because Brian Hawks said, when we were at the second match that was going on, the whole thing with Carino, he was telling people in the locker room when they were watching on the monitor, he said, "What's the one thing you noticed in this match?" And nobody could answer. And Brian Hawks he said, "When's the last time you've seen CW wrestling match and he not call it?" I just sit there and listen, man. And George said my selling and me being there, how I would sell one body part the entire time and just everything. He would call a spot and we do it. He said, "I'm not used to calling it one time and you getting it. People getting it." He said, "I'm used to having to call it 2 or 3 times." But I'm telling you, if you're a fan of old school wrestling and that part with Steve being involved, man, it's pretty spectacular.
Wow.
Like you said earlier, we were talking, you can't have too much old school. You can't have too much new school. It has to be balanced. So my question, out of the promotions that are out here now, WWE, AEW, Impact Wrestling, Ring of Honor, New Japan Wrestling, what is your thoughts on those promotions? And if you had a choice to go to either one of them, which one would you pick?
I honestly can't say when is the last time I watched any Ring of Honor. I don't watch a lot of wrestling, period, anymore. I don't like a lot of what it's come to, in my opinion. I watch WWE every now and then if there's some kind of huge event, SummerSlam or WrestleMania, something. I'll watch some of that, not all of it. I've watched some of Impact because of Dreamer being on there and Rhino being on there. I watched Dreamer and their champion the other night when it was Tommy's 50th birthday. I watched that. AEW, I try watching AEW. I have a really hard time with it sometimes following it. If I had my choice, I think I would fit more towards Impact. I'm not AEW style is not me. It's not my style.
Is it too fast? Is it no psychology, or is it?
Yeah.
I mean, there is some psychology because you got guys like an FTR, Dak Hardwood, Casey Knight, my boy. There's some people there that can really work. But
you're right.
All of them can work. I'm sorry, guys. All of y'all can work. I'm just saying that, but the way it's going, the style of
some of the way it's written, the styles, even FTR is not. What I've watched, the stuff they're doing is not what they did at WWE. They've kind of gotten away from some of the things they have.
Yeah.
A lot of us, the psychology, lack of psychology to some extent, the lack of no selling, because guys are kicking out of these incredible moves. The guys that wrestle there are amazing athletes. I've watched every one of them, and they're amazing. I would kill to have some of the ability and some of the athletic ability those guys do. But with my style, I would have to, for instance, a lot of the stuff they're doing, Kid Cash was an innovator of to an extent with ECW. And Kid Cash, I was able to control that because Cash and I flowed so well because we mixed our styles together. If I went out and tried to wrestle his style, like a lot of the stuff at AEW, it wouldn't work. You'd have to and he'd have to slow some of his stuff down to work my style and vice versa. I'd had to do some of his things to catch him. That's why our stuff looked so good because we were a good mesh. If I wrestled some of those guys, it would have to be, I would call the match and I could tone some of the things down, but still make it look spectacular. The same way.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's because I can work to that extent. If you want to fly around the ring, I can catch you. I've done it with Kid Cash. I've done it with. I've proven I can wrestle that style and be around there. But I'm going to slow you down and make you wrestle my style because we're going to have psychology and we're going to tell a story. You're not going to. There's not going to be 36 kickouts and we're not going through a table and all these crazy things in the first beginning of the match. It's not going to happen.
Well, do you think you think it's because it has to be fast because of the television time of it, or they got to go to commercial, they got sponsors they got to get to, or it's just that they just don't want to do the psychology thing and they think that all the moves are going to be epic, because we had super crazy WWE, in ECW, we had Kid Cash, and Tajiri, but like you said, you could slow them down to a way that it makes sense, and the move just meant something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
it's like Super Crazy and I had some wars at ECW. He was one of my most favorite opponents. I slowed his things down and did his stuff as well, and we made a good style of his and mine. I don't think it's so much of the TV time stuff. I think it's a lot of guys to me, it looks like a lot of guys just wanting to get their shit in. And you can do the whole less is more.
Right.
You can do less and get more out of it if you know how to do these things. So some guys don't know how to do less is more because if they do less, they don't think they're getting more out of it. But it's not the truth. Again, that's my opinion. It's what I look at and what I see. And again, I've wrestled guys just like that. I've slowed them down and had it make sense. No matter how much professional wrestling has evolved, you have to get the fans involved and you have to have a story.
Yeah.
It's going to be a story because if it's not, you're not doing anything. And again, you got those little niche of fans that are going to pop and love this stuff to death, but it's not the majority.
Yeah.
In my opinion. And the WWE stuff now, from some of the stuff I watched, it's just like it was before. And I think I would fit more at Impact because could be more guys there. There could be more my style that I could flow with in the matches.
Okay.
With I think that would be the place for me.
What about
I'll go wherever if somebody wants me. The other thing too, I think right now, for the ones that are there, but NWA was when they get back up and running, it'll definitely be my choice, 100% NWA.
I was going to ask you about that, your time in NWA Power.
That I mean, I had a lot of fun there. I had a lot of fun. I can't wait to get back up and running because I can't wait to be a part of that. I missed the past year with them not being there because those guys, man, that's the closest I've come to an ECW locker room. Be quite honest with you. Yeah, we're all there. There was some really good guys there, laughing, joking, carrying on. Nobody was there to stab you in the back. Everybody had their own thing, and everybody watched the monitors and was helping. You have Trevor Murdoch, Homicide, Simon Diamond, Crimson. All these guys were agents, and some of them were wrestling, but they were all there to help you. And they were even having me come in and help them out a little bit. They would ask me ideas. See, I got this going on. What do you think of this? And I would give them my opinion. And my last match there, Billy Corgan said, let CW be the agent for this. Even though Crimson was my agent, he said, I want an ECW style match. Nobody's better than CW doing it. So he let me put it together with me and Caleb Conley and the Dawsons. We pitched ideas because I know Caleb really well. I know the Dawsons really well. And we pitched it to Crimson, and Crimson loved it. And when we got done with it, man, I come in the back, and this was the match that I won my contract. I come in the back, Billy hugged me. He's like, man, that's exactly what I want. I loved it.
That's awesome.
So, where were they filming out of? Where's that?
Some studio in Atlanta, man. Like one of Judge Judy films that or something like that. But it was a great setup, man. It was like one side was nothing but fans, and then it had the old NWA stuff on the other side. It was really cool. But going back, man, I had almost forgot about them for a second. If I had my choice, it would be NWA, 100% over NWA. Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot about them.
If you had one champion to face in any brand, who would that be?
Let's see. I don't know if he's a champion. I think me and Cody Rhodes could have a really good match. I know me and his brother have some amazing chemistry, and I had some amazing chemistry with their dad. So I think Cody and I could have a hell of a feud.
Nice.
Yeah, because Cody's very athletic. He's got a little more modern style, but I know he's got that old style with him too.
Oh, yeah.
So I think,
I like his style. I like Cody's style a lot, and his brother.
Dustin. I love Dustin to death, and Carino's told me on numerous occasions. He said he's never seen me have so much chemistry with one person like I did with Dustin, and I had great chemistry with their dad when I worked. So I don't see me and Cody not having great chemistry.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
Now, CW, not too long ago, you went against Caprice Coleman on Law. And there was a little incident in the match where it looked like Caprice Coleman got knocked out. Could you talk about that?
Well, it didn't look like it because he did.
That's back in the day. That's back in the day.
Oh, yeah. It was like in the mid-2000s. It's been a minute.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
Caprice was just starting. Caprice was he was amped up. He was a young, energetic kid. And I knew Caprice. I don't know him like I do now, because I'm telling you, the Caprice I know now, he's laid back, and he's a lot more calm than what he used to be.
What's up, Caprice? My man.
Yeah, I love Caprice. So I remember Caprice and I were going over the match, and I was heavy in Japan then, Japanese style wrestling. I was big in Japan over there. And he and I were going over the match. I said, let's have a Japanese style go home. And this is before everybody in the freaking world started doing it. Mm-hmm. I said, let's trade forearms back and forth. I said, you know how to do forearms, right? Yeah, man, I got it. I said, all right, look, we try. I said, here's good. I said, here's going to kind of piss me off. I said, don't go any higher in here. He's like, all right, he's up, no problem, man. We do a couple things, and he blew one spot. He like tripped or something and blew one spot. And we started going home with the forearms, and I hit him. And he kind of jumps and dumps a little. You can actually see it on YouTube. He does a little flipper, and it kind of catches me in the temple. I went, shit. And I had a way hotter head than what I do now, man. I was more of an asshole than what I am now. So I come back, I tighten up a little bit, and I'm like, lighten up. And I hit him a little harder. He comes back, and he flips me again and hits me right in the temple. I went, motherfucker. I come back off the ropes, and when I hit him the last time, I blasted him right across here. If you go back and see, the first thing that hit the mat, his feet are still on the mat. The first thing that hit the mat was his head. It like he folded like this.
Damn.
So you actually hear me on camera go, are you okay? Or I said, you all right? And when I asked him that, he went, I picked him up and I was like, all right, spine buster. I went to shoot him across the ropes with a spine buster and he collapsed. He was so out of his feet. So I like picked him up and spine busted him. But yeah, I caught him flush with that last forearm. Didn't mean to knock him out, but I tightened up on him. I think I tightened up on him too much because it collapsed him. And
did Caprice ever go to WWE?
I don't think so. I don't know. I'm sure he did some matches for him like we've all done in the past, but I don't know if he ever went for a long period of time.
Oh, okay. Yeah, great talent, man. Caprice is awesome.
Oh yeah, very, very athletic.
Woo,
very athletic. He helped me through few things too, because this is before I was before I turned my life over to God, man, and he helped me out with a couple things because it took me a while to get
he's a preacher.
Yeah, he took me a while to get my feet set, and he was there talking to me a few times, and we talked not too long ago, man. And once I told him everything, he gave me some really good advice about it. The last time I wrestled him, I remember the last time I wrestled him, he was telling me, how he didn't want to do a lot, but we could get a lot more out of it. And I'm like, this ain't the same Caprice I used to know.
He didn't go back in the day, man. Caprice he'll be all over the place, man.
He was
I remember
everywhere.
watching some of his matches. Yeah.
God knows he was, boy. Again, so athletic, such an amazing athletic ability. He was so good, so gifted.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a story of that's what a couple of people call some of Caprice getting iced. Yeah.
Nice.
Now, CW.
Go ahead.
All right. Now, CW, you talked about you past demons, and how you I guess you could say beat your past demons. What advice would you give to somebody else that's looking to do the same thing?
Turn your life over to God. 100%. I was a hellion. I wasn't a good husband to my past wives. I wasn't a good person. I wasn't a good friend to a lot of people. I've alienated a lot of people. I've walked on a lot of people. Used a lot of people, and the shit all caught up with me. And it took me surrendering my life, because a lot of people don't know this, and I'll tell this kind of openly now because I'm not embarrassed that when over the summer when I retired, I was in a very dark place in my life. Dark to the point when I put out my retirement video, I planned on killing myself that night. I'd even had the 9mm in my hand to do it that night. I was in a very, very bad place. Whoa. And it took me just, the preacher, the church I go to now, the preacher, his name's Matt Fry, and because I go to C3 Church in Cleveland. He reached out to me and he said, it looked like you were kind of struggling, like you're going through some things. If you want to talk, I'm here. And of all the 22,000 plus, because it was like 22,000 plus messages I got, I tried to look through every one of them. He was like the only one that said, let's talk. It wasn't until afterwards when people were telling me, you look like you were in a bad spot, man, like you were going through some things. And I also had people telling me that women that didn't even know who I was, they were like watching my video crying. And then when the husband would come in, the husband knew who I was, whether they knew me personally or just knew me as from wrestling. And they said, this guy it's like he's at his wit's end to some extent. And like, holy shit, that's C.W. Anderson. Once I surrendered, because I got around I got around a connect group of men, and and the Bible says you can't do life without them. I started being with those guys, finding out some things about the person I was with was a complete lie, which was the hardest thing. It was almost like doing to others, because that's what I got done. Once I learned seeing that forest for the trees and stepping back and surrendering my life. You know, it was even to the point of my best friend Maurice and my therapist were telling me to go be still and be quiet. Sit your ass down in a corner somewhere and be quiet. Just be quiet. Stop reacting to everything. Just be still. Let God do his work. I even got it tattooed on my arm. Be still and be quiet. Anytime I'm having a hard time, I look at my arm. Be still, be quiet. And you'd be surprised when you step back and you're quiet, the things you hear from him. I tell people, this world has gone to hell in a handbasket. We've gotten away from God, but he's always been here for us. Mm-hmm. I read my Bible. I do a soap devotional every night. My fiance, she does a 2-hour Bible study, and she's been a big, big part of that with making sure that I stick to these things. And a lot of it I attribute to her. A lot of it I attribute to my pastor, Matt, and to the guys that I'm with. You know, your life hasn't worked out. And Colossians 3:2 basically says, stop looking horizontally for your answers and look vertically. Mm-hmm. And when I started doing that, because there were so many things, and Will can attest to this, because as men, we look for so many things horizontally to fill this gap that we need, because a lot of wrestlers have that, whether it's women, whether it's drugs, whether it's drinking, whether it's anything, gambling, any kind of addiction. And that shit never gets filled. Never. Am I the man I want to be by now? No, by no means. But I damn sure ain't the guy I was over the summer.
Right.
And I owe it 100% to the man upstairs, because he's given me more blessings in the past 6 months, 5 months, that I have not deserved. I've been wanting, you know, it's like I was telling you guys before, man, I just got a new job that I've been trying to get for a year and a half. And it's basically a life-changing job for me. Things of this world will never satisfy you. You're talking to a guy that has been married 3 times, has been there, done that, got the t-shirt, traveled the world, and nothing is ever satisfying. Mm-hmm. Nothing. I've had money in the bank. I've lived on food stamps, as they said. I've done everything. And the food stamps was as close as 10 years ago. No amount of money, no amount of anything in this world is going to satisfy you. And if it might be rambling, it might be preaching, but somebody needs to hear this. Yeah. And I was debating not too long ago, should I put my testimony out that I gave at church? And Lodi, who was another one of my former students, who's a really religious person, he said, it's our job as Christians to put that word out there. And you'd be surprised the number of messages I got from people who are struggling, because we're all going through hard times now. What we've seen in this world has never happened. And people don't know how to act.
Right.
And it seems like they want the human to fix it. We've gotten away from what got us here. You're looking at a guy who thought his talent is the reason that I'm the reason that I got my job at ECW. I'm the reason that I got drafted by the San Diego Padres coming out of high school. But I forgot what person gave me that gift. It wasn't me. I even told him. I had a preacher one night when I was in my late 20s. I had just gotten signed with ECW. Preacher come and talk to me. And he tried to get me to come to church. I said, what can God do for me that I haven't done for myself? I'm the reason I got the job at ECW, not him. That's how asinine listen to how asinine that sounds.
Yeah.
And now everything I do is 100% because of him. So I know that's a long-winded answer, but turn your life over and see what happens, man. See the blessings. You know, when I get paid every 2 weeks, my church gets part of my money. They get my tithe because you're supposed. That's what it says in the Bible. The blessings it's going to come to you for that. And I don't do it just so, I can get something. I do it because I'm supposed to. As a child of God. That's what he says.
Awesome, man.
That's great,
a great testimony.
Thank you.
You know it, man.
It is. No, seriously. I needed to hear that. You know what I mean? So, and, like you said, people don't know what other people are going through. It's like we get on this Facebook page or we get on YouTube or social media, and we'll put on this and we'll put on that, and we'll try to mask what's really going on. But when the lights are when the lights are down and the microphones are off, man, we don't know what people go through. You know what I mean? You have no clue what people go through. And,
I will tell you this, Will. It's like Marty Champagne told me. It's called fake book. Because some of the things I was going through, he said, you can't believe everything they put out there. They want to put it out there because they want to make people believe they're having this great life.
Right.
And one of the hardest things that took me to do is I always have to be doing something. For me to be sitting still and quiet drives me crazy. I have to be doing something. I have to go somewhere. You'd be surprised last summer when I was having all these anxiety attacks and having all these problems going on that I would have to just get out of my house and go walk around Walmart because I wasn't right here because I was letting too much getting controlled.
Yeah.
Once I started learning being okay by myself, get in my Bible more, things, and I don't, whatever somebody posts on Facebook, I don't care because I know most of the time you're lying. Everybody puts these fake things out about what, look at it like this, God's not going to drive you down the highway until you give him the keys. He's not going to.
There you go.
You know, he's not done writing your story, so quit trying to steal the pen from him.
Yeah.
That's what you got to learn. This man's writing your story. And, it's like I tell people why I didn't, have so much, why I felt like I was getting, because they said the devil always attacks you. The devil always attacks you. He didn't attack me for a long time. I guess one, because I was walking with him. It's like, don't be afraid when he's attacking you. Just be afraid when he leaves you alone.
Okay.
And he left me alone for a long time. And it wasn't until 6-7 months ago that things started happening, and I just had to learn, okay, he's testing me. I'm getting tested. I don't care what people put on Facebook. And never noticed for like 2 or 3 months, 3 or 4 months, I didn't post anything on social media. I even had some of my wrestling buddies, you okay? What's going on? It ain't like you to be posting things on Instagram. I won't posting. I took a break from social media because that encompassed so much of my life and was driving me. There was a lot of time I just didn't go on it. I didn't post, and it was refreshing to get away from social media.
Yeah, it can really get into your everything, man. You post a lot. Coming from a person who posts a lot, it can really get into your shit, man. And sometimes I have to sit back and be like, man, what are you doing? Why are you posting? Why are you posting about political shit that you can't change? You know what I mean? You were just wasting time. You were just wasting your time. And you could be doing something else. And so, that's and it's like a cancer, man. It can become a cancer. This stuff that we're doing, what we're doing now is I look at it as it's good, it's positive. But if we were doing something totally different and talking about something negative, you probably get 1,000 more likes and 1,000 more viewers. But that's just a cancer, you know what I mean? And it's like,
let me tell you,
things is the things that we need to talk about.
Let me tell you this, man. My fiance, before, when she and I were hanging out, we hadn't come out yet. She would post a picture of herself, like just a good looking picture from where she was working at Hooters, and these clowns were always liking her stuff, and there was a few that were like trying to direct message her. All these crazy things, and these people don't think I don't know these things. Some of them, one of them was like a really close friend of ours, was like direct message her one day.
Wow.
And she never opened it because she's like, why is he messaging me? And then once, she would post something about God, hardly any likes. And then when she and I came out, all the likes stopped. The girl posts a picture, she's gonna get 1,000 likes. She posts something about religion, she'll hardly get any likes.
You ain't gonna get no likes. No. That's it.
It doesn't make people doesn't. It's like you're focused on the wrong things in this life. It doesn't make it. Here's the thing. How's it working out for you now? Maybe try something different. Try going to church. Try reading your Bible on every day. Do something different, because obviously what you're doing now ain't working out too well.
It's not working. Exactly.
No, because you got to be posting, and like you said, you post political shit. It ain't gonna change anything. Doesn't matter what kind of arguments you get into. It ain't gonna change one thing.
Nothing, man. No one's listening. No one's listening, bro.
Yeah.
Nobody cares.
That's right.
Nobody cares, man.
You're right. No one cares. So,
but I look at it like this, to end it. I don't care. You can, like, if I post something lately, I've been posting some spiritual things, some things that are really close to my heart. You don't want to like it? I don't care. You don't want to like me and Brittany's post about us being together? I don't care. Not one bit. She even had a guy block her. That was a friend of mine. He blocked her.
Wow.
It's stupidest things that these people do, man. And I don't care. I don't care anymore. Not one bit. You don't want, because look, we're going to post what we want to about the Bible. You don't want to like us? Hey, that's on you. Because at the end of the day, I have to answer to her. She answers to me. But mainly we have to answer to him.
God, that's right. It. That's it, brother. That's good.
Yes,
that's positive, man. No doubt. Appreciate that.
All right, CW.
So we're going to turn into the Bible hour, but hey, somebody need to hear it.
Hey, that's all good.
That's right. That's right.
Come here, baby.
That's right. CW, I want to say thank you for this. This has been truly amazing, sitting down and talking with you.
Andrew,
don't want to take up too much of your time, man. But
you're good, man.
Has been great.
Yes.
Thank you again for everything you've done. CW, you are a legend in this industry. This is Chill. You got anything else to say?
Yes, man. CW, man, love you, brother, man. I really appreciate everything, man. Appreciate you coming on, taking this time out, man, for me and Andrew.
Oh yeah.
And just like you've been doing ever since I met you, man. You take time out for your students, you take time out for people, man, and you give so much, as a person, and it's just not just your wrestling, that's just who you are, man. And I really appreciate you, man. Just like, you and your cousin, you and Dan, you guys really give, man, and you have a kind spirit. So much love to you, brother, and much success to you. And I hope to see you somewhere back with NWA if they come up.
Oh yeah.
Impact somewhere. But if not, man, we'll still keep in touch. I know where to find you. You're in North Carolina.
Absolutely. Look, it's been, bro. I've known you a long, long time, man. Like I said, I love you. I'd do anything in the world for you. You know that.
Yes,
Andrew, thank you so much, buddy, for having me on. Hopefully, we can get you back over to school and roll around again. But I can't. I love this. Thank you so much for having me on. Everybody that's listening.
No doubt. Tell your brother say hello.
I will. My family says hello too, buddy.
Yes.
I told them I was coming up here.
Hello.
I will. Look, I love you guys. Thank you so much for having me, man. If everybody's listening and watching, thank you. Whether you love me or hate me, you always kept your hands high for CF and Dub.
There you go.
Thank you again, CW.
You get high. All right, CW. Thanks, brother. Love you, man. Be good.
Is on the beat.